Yo, what's poppin' guys? Kaizeki here with another Genshin Impact video, and today I'm going to be talking about the one and only funeral waifu whose trailer just dropped recently, right? We got a sneak peek of her coming on the horizon, and I want to talk about, is she worth summoning for your specific account? Or should you skip her, right? Should you skip the funeral waifu, right? Now, there are two things I want to get out of the way before starting this video. The first thing is, of course, if Hu Tao is your waifu, right? That is your waifu you sent for her, then absolutely this video is not for you. Okay, go ahead and summon for her. She's going to be a good character, so don't worry, right? Please just summon for her if she's your waifu. That's going to increase your enjoyment of the game as well. And that's all that matters, right? At the end of the day, that's what matters. So please, 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 if she's your waifu, just ignore everything else. Just go summon for her. Have a fun time, right? The next thing I want to talk about is, well, she is going to be a good character, right? So all the stuff I'm going to say in this video, it may sound somewhat pessimistic, right? But please keep in mind, regardless of anything I say, she is going to be a good character. She's definitely not going to be bad by any means, right? So if you're worried about her being a good character or not, and you want her, and you just like, hey, she can be good, she's going to be good, okay? She's going to be a good character. So please also keep that in mind. Now that we got the disclaimer out of the way, there are a few things you should take into account if you are planning on summoning for her and you care about, of course, having a strong account, right? If having a strong account is what you care about, this is the video for you, okay? So let's just get right into it. So the first thing I can talk about is teams, right? So here's the thing. If you already have a 5-star Pyro DPS, like say you have Diluc, right? If you have Diluc, or if you have Klee, right? If you have Diluc, or if you have Klee, Hu Tao may not be as worth it, right? Because, well, okay, of course, you could argue that in your, second team for the Spiral Abyss, your second team, you may want Hu Tao, and then you can have Diluc or Klee on your other team. If you want on double Pyro, you absolutely can, right? There are some situations in the game where Pyro is not as good, of course, although that's rare, but Pyro is the best element. So more than any other element, you could probably get away with having two Pyro mains versus, say, two Electro mains, right? Because Pyro is the most versatile element in the game, and of course the best, because this is Pyro Impact after all. So this may be lesser of a point than if it were another element having two of, right? But again, if you have Diluc or Klee already, it's still going to be less worth it to get Hu Tao because, of course, you already have a Pyro main. And another thing is, of course, on your other team, you may want to invest in a second 5-star who is a different element. Like for me, I'm investing heavily into Xiao, who already have Diluc invested, right? Diluc's already invested, so now I'm investing into Xiao because he is a different element. So I'm able to do different things with both characters, right? With there's some things like I wouldn't want to do with Diluc, like the Pyro Rich is fine. I mean, I still could do with Diluc because he's just that broken, but I don't want to, right? Right. And so, of course, there are vice versa things I can't do with Xiao, like the Anemo boss. So I'm bringing Diluc out for that. And it's nice to have a little bit of versatility and flexibility. And if you have two Pyro mains, you may be missing out on that a bit, okay? So that's one thing to keep in mind. Another thing I would want to talk about is weapons, okay? So we're just going down the list, right? Like this where, like a review, right? Like it's a character review. We're just going down the list. So weapons. For Hu Tao, of course, she has the Staff of Homa. So I'm gonna just pull up the banner, right? The Staff of Homa banner is the current weapon banner out. And as you guys know, these things are risky, right? The Staff of Homa is Hu Tao's absolute best in slot weapon. But you guys saw Tectone, right? He spent almost $2,000 before he got his first Staff of Homa. He ended up getting two, but it cost him almost $2,000 before he got a single one. And the thing is, Staff of Homa is actually very important for Hu Tao, okay? I'm not saying that she's bad without it, right? Please don't take this the wrong way. I'm not saying that you can't play Hu Tao, you can't enjoy her, you can't do well without Staff of Homa. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that Staff of Homa benefits her more than, weapons benefit other characters on average, right? So think about this, right? So Staff of Homa here, as you can see above the passive, it increases your HP by 20%. Now this is important because Hu Tao scales heavily with HP. The more HP you have, the more she's going to do, right? She's going to do more damage, she's going to be a stronger character overall. The only other weapon in the game that has a HP, the only other spear, in the game that has a HP bonus on it is, as I'm going to show you, the Black Tassel, right? And this is a 3-star spear. You're not going to be wanting to use a 3-star spear, right? So your only other realistic option for Hu Tao would be a deathmatch, right? Deathmatch would be very good on her. Blackcliff will be very good on her, right? So those are your two main options. Dragon's Bane could work. The Elemental Mastery is not as important, right? Elemental Mastery is not as important on Hu Tao because she's not going to be able to consistently proc reactions quite as much as other characters like Diluc can, like Diluc plus Xingqiu. That you could definitely rock Elemental Mastery on that build, right? But with Hu Tao, it's not going to work as well. So Deathmatch and Blackcliff will be your best 4-star options for her, right? And neither of these weapons give you HP. And again, Hu Tao likes to have high HP. HP is very important for her. So that's the thing, okay? Her other options, her non 5-star alternatives, are not going to give her a stat that's incredibly useful for her. Versus, say, Xiao, right? For Xiao, his best in slot weapon is Primordial Jade Spear. This gives him crit rate, which is very useful, and it's useful on any DPS, right? Having crit rate and crit damage is great for any DPS. Because Xiao doesn't have a specific stat like HP that's going to boost him further, he can make use of general DPS stats like crit rate, crit damage, attack, right? Hu Tao could still make use of those, but HP is very nice for her. So basically, the point I'm trying to make is that having Staff of Homa is more important for Hu Tao than having Jade Spears to Xiao, right? With Xiao, you can absolutely get away with Deathmatch. If you have Deathmatch around Refinement Rank 3, there's not too huge of a gap between Refinement 3 Deathmatch and a R1 Jade Spear. For Hu Tao, that gap is going to be a bit wider because HP is important for her. Xiao is even, his Staff of Homa is just broken regardless, right? His weapon's so broken that it's Xiao's second best weapon, even though Xiao doesn't need HP at all. It can actually outperform Jade Spear for Xiao, less than 50% HP. That's just how broken the weapon is, right? So that's one thing to keep in mind, right? If you're going for Hu Tao, then Staff of Homa is very, very, very nice to have her. I'm not going to tell you guys to pull in Weapon Banner because obviously the Weapon Banner is a trap, it's a scam. It's not worth it. You could, I mean, I've done it, right? I mean, I've done it for Xiao because I just like Xiao that much, right? If you like Hu Tao so much, right? You like her so much as a character that you want her best weapon, then I would say the best thing for you to do would be to pull for Hu Tao and Staff of Homa, right? If you have both of those, even at C0, Hu Tao will be amazing with Staff of Homa, right? Absolutely amazing. But the other thing I want to talk about is Hu Tao's constellations, okay? Her C1 her C1's alright, right? It makes it where your charge attacks are not going to cost you stamina, which is very nice, right? It's very nice to have. But her best, like, low investment, constantly, I say low investment, still, you have to be lucky, right, if you're a low budget player to get C2 Hu Tao, but her C2 is incredible. So her C2 is going to basically make it where it increases the blood blossom damage by an amount equal to 10% of Hu Tao's max HP, and if you have Staff of Homa, well, your HP is going to be really high, and of course, it also makes it where Spirit Soother will also apply the Blood Blossom effect. Now, this is incredible, incredible, nice addition to her kit, but that's another downside, right? Some of her nice kit features are locked behind constellations. For Xiao, for example, I'm just comparing Hu Tao to Xiao because they're both Polearm users and I have a lot of Xiao experience. So that's why I'm doing this, right? I'm not trying to, this is not a comparison between Xiao and Hu Tao. I'm just talking about constellations and value, right? Constellation value. For Xiao, you don't have to have any constellations and he still does great. His C1 is one of his two best constellations, the other being C6. So at low investment, you could just go for C1 and do phenomenal and have a nice kit change. But for Hu Tao, you're going to want to get her to C2 if you're going for constellations, right? Now, I would say that it is going to be a lot better if you have her at C0 with a Staff of Homa than having Hu Tao at C2 with, say, a Deathmatch or something, right? That's going to be better, right? So you could decide for yourself if you think it's going to be worth it to risk for the weapon banner. The point I'm trying to make here is that Hu Tao is more reliant on constellations. She's more reliant on a weapon. She's basically not very free-to-play friendly, right? You could still absolutely, guys, again, I'm just trying to tell you, please don't take this the wrong way as me saying, hey, you can't do well with Hu Tao at C0 with, Force Open. That's not what I'm saying, okay? She'll be just fine. She will be just fine. What I'm saying is for her to feel like she's at her max potential, right? Feeling like she's close to her max potential. If you want to feel like she's powerful, at that point where you feel like, hey, this is the character, I have the full character, you're not going to get that experience until you have Constellations and a Staff of Homa, right? With Xiao, on the other hand, you could be at C0 with Deathmatch and be relatively close to that experience, right? Of course, C6 Xiao is a whole other beast, but that's for whales only. We're not even talking about C6, right? Because that's, again, if you're a whale, none of this video matters because you're just going to pull Hu Tao C6 no matter what I say. So what's the point, right? I'm talking about free-to-play, low-budget players. Is Hu Tao worth it, right? And again, if she's your waifu, yes, she's worth it. If you already have a Pyro main DPS, or if you're trying to talk about value, right? Value, Hu Tao needs more investment. She wants to have Staff of Homa. She wants to have Constellations. It's up to you. If you feel like you have enough Primo Gems to either, to get a Staff of Homa, or if you want to get her to C2, if you have enough Primo Gems to do that, then I would say she's worth it. If you only have enough to get her to C0 and you already have a Pyro DPS, or if you want a character that's very, very free-to-play friendly, I would say just be careful, okay? Again, Hu Tao is going to be a good character. Just be careful. that's all I have to say. I'm not going to tell you not to pull for her because again, she's awesome. I want to pull for her, but I already have Diluc, and so for me, it's not worth it. For me, for her to compete with my Diluc, I would have to get her obviously with Staff of Homa. So yeah, guys, that's enough. That's enough rambling. I feel like I've made my point pretty clear. I'm not going to tell you if you should summon for her or not because that's up to your account specifically. In my case, it's not worth it at all. So if your case is similar to mine, then of course I would say not based on my views, right? But again, if you need a Pyro DPS, then she's going to be great. So if you need a Pyro DPS, absolutely go for it. That's it. That's it, guys. If you guys found this video helpful in any way, shape, or form, please be sure to smash that like button, subscribe for more content. But yeah, guys, that's it for today. Kazerker out. Peace and booyah.